I've had a couple of eye-opening situations happen to me in these past couple weeks. 2 weeks ago, was on leave and I just got back to work, and like my first day getting back to my unit, getting back to work, my sergeant major fussed me out, man, because I wasn't on my A game about a task that had came down from him through my company. And I didn't quite have all the information that I thought that I needed. I didn't really know. I mean, I was told that I was an NCOIC, but also I was kind of misled when somebody kind of came through and started giving me some information and details on my task. I thought they were going to be basically guiding us through the whole thing. But Sergeant Major made it clear that I have some stepping up that I have to do as a platoon sergeant. And it just made me think and go back to how I'm operating with my section sergeants on everything that we're doing, from passing information to one another, because that was one of the things Sergeant Major had said to me. You know, if somebody came to me and gave me a task, wouldn't I go back to them and letting them know my progress, and just different things on that matter. But communicating, which is something that I stressed to my squad leaders, like, look, if I give you a task to be complete and you're not going to be able to complete that task by the deadline that I give you, don't just go away and do your thing and then not, let me know. I don't retain information very well. I write down a lot of things. I don't know, whenever my first sergeant's giving us notes, I had one of my platoon sergeant battle buddies let me know that he notices whenever first sergeant is giving us specific notes that I'm very detailed with what I'm writing down. He watches me and he sees I'm detailed with what I write down. It's a personal habit of mine, I guess you would say, that I do that because the last thing that I want to do is to not inform my sergeants on what's going on. But yes, the last thing that I want to do is to leave my soldiers and my non-commissioned officers uninformed. It's something that I dread almost every day before I go home to work. Like, did I put out all the information that needs to be put out? Are they tracking this? All that good kind of stuff. Another thing that I've realized over the past 2 weeks is that I'm guilty. I want to be an NCO who upholds the standard a lot more often, and I realize that I just don't. One thing that I don't uphold the standard with, and I have my reasons for why I don't, I guess. I know, like, certain things, like when it comes to making sure that soldiers are standing at parade rest when they speak to me, like, it's on my mind. I'm talking to soldiers and it's on my mind, and before this week it wasn't as much on my mind, but now it is. I'm gonna also tell y'all the reason why. But it wasn't on my mind as much. But I see other NCOs who there are certain standards that are not being upheld, and when I go to say something about it, then I realize I'm not perfect about everything. I'm guilty. I don't always do it. So then their next question is, well, then how can you get on me about upholding standards when you don't always uphold the standards? And they're right. So another thing as a non-commissioned officer that I feel like I do. And I know I'm not the only non-commissioned officer that does it, but we're sending mixed signals about things. When it comes to upholding standards, if we're not upholding every standard, which is, it's probably almost impossible to uphold every single standard. We shouldn't think like that. But if you want to be realistic, who's going to uphold every single standard? But we send mixed signals when we don't get on every soldier about everything. We can't let some soldiers do some things and other soldiers don't have to do it. Also, another thing that I realized is our feelings about certain things, our emotions about certain things. We can't let our freaking emotions get in the way of our professionalism when it comes to being a soldier, when it comes to being a drill sergeant, platoon sergeant, whatever the case may be. Now, let me tell y'all my situation. One of my soldiers was down in the office of a place that they are not supposed to be without one of their non-commissioned officers that they work for. Now, my soldier was talking to another NCO that worked in that office, and that NCO in that office knows, like, hey, soldiers should not be down here unless they're brought down here by their NCOs. Now, I see this happen, and I don't say nothing to my soldier, but I'm talking to this non-commissioned officer. Mind you, this other non-commissioned officer that I'm talking to and having this conversation with, we have a connection. She has orders to be a drill sergeant. Y'all know anyone that I know within my vicinity, in my unit, that anything drill sergeant, I'm going to have that connection with them. I'm going to make that bond and all that with them. Now, with her being a potential drill sergeant candidate, I kind of take on the duty of making sure that she has her mind right, ready to go. Because when you go to the school, at least when I went to the United States Army Drill Sergeant Academy, he said it wasn't no joke. It's changed now since COVID has happened, but you go to the school for 8 weeks, you're there, and it's nerve wracking. So I want her mentally to be ready. And I'm asking her, are you ready with this? Do you know this? Have you been practicing this? All that stuff like that. So we have a little connection. Whenever I see her, I mess around with her and I square her away on little deficiencies. Her bun was not messed up, but she had some kind of hair that wasn't intact with the bun. And I mess with her and tell her to square it away, tighten it up, whatever the case may be. And she's an E5. I'm an E6 promotable, so I'm squaring her away. Now I see my soldier down in the office talking to her. I go down there and again, I start messing with her, but then I kind of start I'm trying to make a point messing with her, but I am being serious at the same time. So I tell her, you know, soldiers ain't supposed to be down here with their non-commissioned officers or whatever. And she says, well, you know, the soldier's talking to me about something personal and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, okay, cool, whatever the case may be. But do y'all have to stay here and talk about it? If she's not supposed to be here, do y'all have to be here and talk about it? Y'all can go somewhere else, because what happens is E4 and below come down here and they see her down here talking. They see my soldier who's an E4 and below down here talking with you without her non-commissioned officer or whatever. They walk by, they see it, they don't know what she's there for. They could think at that time, oh, it's okay for us to start coming back down here without our NCO. Then when they do, what do you tell them? So I'm trying to make my point to this sergeant. She doesn't want to say that, yes, you're right about this and I shouldn't do this. There's a but to it. There's a but. I don't know. We get in this debate. It starts getting more heated up and more heated up. My battle buddy, another platoon sergeant, comes down and he's like, what are you guys talking about? And I'm telling her, you know, upholding the standard, and if this is how it should be down here in the office, this is the standard, why not do it? And then he made a good point. He said, just like I said earlier, nobody upholds all the standards. And it made me look at him like, because he has way more experience in this rank and position than I do. I look up to him. He's kind of he's really like he's like a public figure in my MOS. Like, if you don't know this guy, then I don't know where you have been unless you're just new in the Army. But everybody knows him because of his accomplishments, things that he does, just his personality in general. So for me, I kind of looked up to him, but for him to say that, it just kind of made me think like, dang, you know, he is right. Nobody upholds all the standards. And I don't know, I'm just big on like, I don't like to cut corners. Just do it right the first time. That way you're not risking yourself getting in trouble if something happens because you tried to cut a corner and stuff like that. I'm just not big on cutting corners. I'm more big on doing things by the book, just because I know if you do it by the book, then what trouble can you get into? But me and this sergeant had this conversation, and I don't know, it just got to me because I looked at her more as like a friend, which, you know, along with my counterpart battle buddy platoon sergeant, he even said like, I would never go out and have a beer with any of you. I'm not here to make friends, strictly professional. I would never go out and have any beers with my E6s. Of course, that's freaking fraternization. But he's talking about his, you know, other platoon sergeants, he would never do it. Me, I'm like, hey, if we're the same rank and we both have something that's in common, like, what's the problem with us going out and hanging out outside of work? We're both the same rank. I told him, I said, I'd have beer with you. And he told me I wouldn't have any beer with you. And I'm just like, okay, I mean, it is what it is. And that kind of hit me too, because you work with people every day and you think that there's something there with y'all, but I don't know, maybe what you think is there is not actually there. What you think it is not actually what it is. It's like I said, it just made me think, man, this whole week just made me think about everything. How I'm going to go about setting standards or, you know, abiding by the standards and things like that. Making sure what kind of signal I'm sending out to people, soldiers, you know, just putting my emotions into things. I got soldiers trying to talk to me, and I'm trying to deal with like, hey, do I want to be that NCO who's always make sure you stand in parade rest? You know what I mean? The thing about it is that the soldiers should know. They should already know what the standard is when it comes to showing your respect as you go to and approach another non-commissioned officer. The E5 and E6 shouldn't have to tell the E4 and below, I need you to stand in parade rest for me. But that's something that's ingrained in them from the day they join the Army. When you're an E4 and below, you stand at parade rest when you talk to an E5 and above. When it comes to a non-commissioned officer, if anyone's an officer, you stand in the position of attention when you talk to them. Shouldn't have to tell them that kind of thing. So for me, it just gets to me because what's happening is no NCOs are holding that standard. No NCOs are making the E4 and below stand in parade rest for them when they don't. And it's not all about, I just need you to stand in parade rest for me, but it's about all things. Soldiers coming to work, being to work at the time that you put out for them to be to work. That's one big thing that gets to me. We have a formation at a certain time. I like for my guys to be in the building and not walking into the building 15 minutes prior. Because me personally, I start getting antsy. Like, okay, where's this person at? Where's these soldiers at? Are they gonna be late to formation? Am I gonna have to write a freaking counseling for them? If you know, whatever the case may be. So those are my reasons. Those are my things. And do I really want to be that NCO that's always harping on? And it's gonna seem like that's all I'm talking about, standing parade rest. It's gonna seem like that's all I'm talking about. I feel like if I do, it's gonna take some time for people to realize what I'm trying to do and what kind of NCO I'm trying to be. But there's that, man. There's that. It's gonna be tough because not all NCOs are doing the same thing. I even talked to my squad leaders about it, and when it comes to doing that kind of thing, having soldiers standing parade rest, they say, oh, you know, if I'm just chit-chatting with them and BSing with them, then I'm not gonna make them stand in parade rest. And me, I don't know. It just blows my mind because as an E6, there's one specific E5 that is in my platoon that no matter what kind of conversation I go to approach them with, they stop what they're doing, get up and stand in parade rest. It's that simple. And they're doing the right thing by setting the example for other soldiers to follow, which is good. That's exactly how it should be. I don't know. Now I want to talk about putting emotions into certain things. Me, I'm that kind of guy. My emotions get to me from time to time. Sergeant Major can chew me out and I'm gonna have that look on my face like, dang, I just got freaking chewed out. And it's gonna be up there for a good 30 minutes or so. I may not show it, but deep down inside it does really get to me. And it's just crazy because when Sergeant Major comes down to my company and he's voicing his opinion to the whole command group as a whole, as soon as he walks away, they say what they say. And I'm not throwing anybody under the bus and saying exactly what is said, but they have their words when Sergeant Major comes down. And even other platoon sergeants, I had a platoon sergeant who was with me as I was getting chewed out, and as Sergeant Major finished his talk, the platoon sergeant had nothing to say, and I think because he's getting ready to retire, he's just like, if I'm messed up, I'm messed up. I just take that hit on the chin and I go and I go with it. Me, I know I still have time. I still have a lot of things that I have to learn, and I'm taking this as a learning point. Like, you know, I still have more rank to gain in the military. I have way more than 2 years left, so I still have more rank to gain. I still have more things to do, and I still have things that I have to prove. Still have to show myself. So I don't know, man. It's been an eye-opening week for me. 2 weeks for me. It's been a long 2 weeks. I'm on a 4-day pass, which I'm highly grateful for. This platoon sergeant life ain't no joke, man. I'm gonna keep saying it, and I'm just gonna keep saying it. Thank y'all for listening to me rant and vent one last time. I'm not even gonna say this is my last time, because y'all know that I'm gonna come with some more situational things that's going on in my life with me and my current duty position. Thank y'all so much, man. It's your boy, Sergeant Lynch. Y'all have a lovely day. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't yet. Thank y'all. I'm gonna holler at y'all. Y'all stay focused and motivated, man. I'm out of here.